Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. I hope that everybody's taking care of themselves. It's a beautiful sunny day out here, and I hope that we are all loving and treating our neighbors well, showing some love and care and concern for everyone so that we can be our best selves, y'all. I'm hoping that we are doing well. That's important. Get your mental health in order, get your spiritual health in order, get your mind right, because this season requires a straight mind, right? A straight, clear mind, because you need to be focused. You need to center yourself so that we can make the right decisions when we're struggling. One of the worst things to do is panic in crisis, right? Panicking in crisis further makes you feel out of control, makes you feel helpless, and it puts other people in jeopardy. Because when you make decisions, when you're in stress, when you're panicking, sometimes they're not the best decisions. Life, or I love the way we've been created, where in crisis, God gives us adrenaline. It pumps in us and it gives us extra energy, extra speed, extra strength, so that we can handle high pressure situations. But if you stay in a high pressure situation for too long, you get burnt out. It affects your health. However, you've got to know how to handle hard times. And a lot of times, wisdom teaches us to prepare. One of the great stories in the Bible was with Joseph, when he was advising the king. And with a vision, he saw, what the king had. It was 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. And one of those things that you learn, and the Bible talks about seasons. There is everything, there is a season. That there is a season when we have a lot and we lose a lot. I look at Job, and Job lost everything. If we believe in the Bible, these are things that would encourage you. You have to know that in your life, and I'm a woman who believes in principles. I don't believe in promises. I believe in principles. I believe that is why people who don't believe in the same God would do the same principles are wealthy, are successful. I believe that opportunity, when it meets preparation, equals success. You don't have to be saved for that. You don't have to be a Christian for that, because being a Christian doesn't guarantee wealth. Ask all of the broke Christians that you know. So life is about being prepared, being wise, seeing the seasons, knowing and understanding the seasons that are to come, so that you can prepare for what is to come. Know that things are inevitable. Don't expect things to not come, or to pray it away or wish it away. Anticipate the outcomes so that you can be prepared for any that comes. We pray for good times only, but we know that people get sick and die. We pray for the best of times, but we know that divorce happens. We pray for the best of times, and our children leave us too early. We pray for the best of times, and our house still gets foreclosed. We pray for the best of times, and then sickness berefts our body. You do all of those things, and it doesn't matter. He allows the sun to shine on the righteous and the unrighteous, the rain to fall on the just and the unjust. It is the season. We are in a season. For some of us, the season is more lack than for others. For others, they are being very abundant. Not everyone is struggling in this season. There are some people in this season whose business has changed their lives immediately. They were ahead of their time, or they were preparing for the season. So the company like Craven, it was prepared for this. It was prepared for this season. Hence now it is successful in this season. There are other businesses who were prepared for this season, didn't see it coming, but the business was ripe for this season. So not everyone is struggling. Not everyone is going through a hard time, but it is a season for everyone. And what you hope for is that your good times have a long line, and it lasts as long as you last, but you prepare for what can come, what may be inevitable. And once we have an understanding of seasons, then when it hits, you know that it is seasonal. When bad times come, when the bottom hits you, you know that it's seasonal. You know that this will not last forever. Your depression will not last forever. Your misery will not last forever. One of the things that I learned when my husband and I were in financial straits, man, let me tell you, when you're going through a financial crisis, when you're going through financial problems, those things, no matter how good you plan, no matter how good you're lining up your ducks in a row, things happen, life happens, and it throws you off. And I remember what had to come to me at this point in my life when we were so low, was that if we lose it all, we'll be okay. As long as we had each other, we would be okay. And yes, it would be embarrassing if we had to move back by our mother, our in-laws. Yes, it would be embarrassing if the business closed down. But because we knew that how we got to where we were was because of strategy, was because of planning, we believe that we had what it takes to get back to where we wanted to be. And it takes realizing that these are things that we're holding on to. Things can be replaced. Your mind can't be replaced. Find peace. If you're not in a peaceful relationship, leave it. If you're not in a peaceful home, find a peaceful space. Your peace of mind is so important, because how do you get through the storm unless there's peace in your soul? How do you get through the hard times unless you're settled in knowing and firm in your faith that in this season I will endure because it's my destiny to get out? Some people have an end that means the end of life, but it shouldn't be the end of joy. And in this season, a lot of folks have lost loved ones. I heard a news report today, that was 2 days ago, about a young lady, and the news was in the paper today, who at the age of 20 gave birth to her son, but a week later died from COVID-19, from complications from COVID-19. It's a sad story. It is one where I think about the mother of the young lady who's 43, where she was supposed to be celebrating her daughter being a mother and her being a grandmother. Now she is instantly moved from grandmother to sole parent. And in this transition, does she have the time to mourn and the space to mourn in a COVID-19 era, when at the funeral home, it's only 10 people, at the funeral graveside, it's only 10 people. Oh, actually, I think it's maybe a little bit more. And at the funeral service, it's only 10 people. Do you have the space to mourn? And see, this is a season where it hurts, and that pain stays in your bone. It stays in your marrow, in your soul. But we'll get through this. This is just a season, Bahamas, and I want us all to realize that this is a season. Trouble don't last always. We have to be a people that is optimistic, that we have to have joy. The things that we don't like, we can if it's in your control, you can change it. We can't change other people, we can change ourselves. We can't change the behavior of other people, but we can change our mindset. We can change how we behave, how we react to bad behavior or to misalignment. We can control ourselves. We can decide what riles us up. We can decide what brings us calm. We can decide to move away from or move toward something. We are masters of our destiny if we believe that everything is in its season, in its time, and in its place. The principle of the seed and the soul is one of the greatest principles in my life. I believe in it so seriously. I believe that there's so many things that you can learn from that principle of the seed and the soul. It has nothing to do with faith. It has everything to do with knowledge and understanding. Yeah? Knowledge and understanding and wisdom. I love it, right? It's a principle thing. If you understand seasons, that means I must, first of all, know the seed that I'm sowing. What type of seed is it, right? Where is it best to flourish? What soil is better for it, right? If I understand those things, I should expect a harvest in due season of the kind that I've sown. That is a powerful thing. That gives you confidence in what you're doing, what you're setting your hands to. If you know, hey, listen, I'm changing my life and going in this direction. I'm forecasting based on studies that if I do this thing, if I do this study, that I can achieve X, Y, and Z, right? But whilst I'm doing that, guess what I'm not doing? Waiting on that one fruit to harvest. Nah, that's what they call it, diversify your portfolio. Because whilst that is due or harvest in June, something harvests in October. So now, how are we sowing our seeds? It's important to know, and you know what, but one of the best things about the principle of seed time and harvest is that the farmer welcomes the rain. just as much as he welcomes the sun. The farmer sees the rain as restoration. The sun is illumination, the needed for photosynthesis. The rain comes, and it's for me an analogy of our life, right? We see the dark clouds, we think of doom and gloom, and we don't like it. But do you know that the rain is restoration? It brings life. Sometimes fire comes to make new, to get rid of everything that's old and decaying. In a forest, what catches fire? The old and the decaying, right? What causes such a massive rush? Drought. You need the rain. You need the hard times. And sometimes there will be a total fire in your life. But that total fire in your life is because there's too many dead things, too many old things, too many people that need to go, too many dreams that you had that weren't your dreams. They were your ex's dreams, your mother's dreams, but they got to go. COVID-19, to me, apart from all of the heartache, man, apart from so many people struggling on how they're going to pay bills. And I wasn't supposed to start the show this way. I really wasn't. I was going to talk about the Minister of Education's presser, but this is something I feel like I need to say. COVID-19 is one of the greatest opportunities that can be the greatest equalizer this world has ever seen. I was reading something, one lady's empire, she's a multi-billionaire, and her empire had dropped 75%. And she was only worth now $17 billion. She started off in the hundreds. She's only worth $17 billion. And it was her season, so and he's like 17 billion. That's seriously, is she a pauper? No. But it is a changing of wealth, you see. So when you look at your life, you have to look at everything as, is there an opportunity for me in this? What season am I in, God? What season am I in, Nahaja? What season am I in? And can I use this season to my advantage? What seed should I sow this season? Because I know that there is a harvest coming for me. I know that there is good times ahead. I've just got to endure this one. So we got to call for rain. We're going to expect the sunshine. Man, look, one of the most interesting things, I'm outside my door. We got a lot of brush, a lot of trees and whatnot. And one of the things I find fascinating after a hurricane, I remember it was in Matthew, nothing, all of the leaves gone. It was barren, and I could see the neighbors and everything. And you look at it now, and it's as if it's better than it was before. It made room. So the storms in our life is to make room. And the greatest thing is seasons and the sowing. I believe so much in that principle. I believe that's why the principle doesn't work for the saved or the unsaved. It is just a great principle. Principles, y'all. Principles. Ask yourself, how come so many people in church are broke? They're not living by the principles. They're waiting for a miracle. We're waiting for God to come from heaven and give us land, give us money. How many Christians spin so that God can give them a number and they can get wealthy? That's not how it works. One of the greatest things about our faith, if we believe what we say we believe, is that they're in us because of who we are as kings and queens. Innately is a mind filled with creativity. One of the worst things from colonization is that our minds have been kept in constraints, and we've been told, pull the wagon, be the mule. Yeah, we've been told to work our bodies, not our minds. Innovation is in us. We can't help ourselves. We've just been told to keep it down. When there's high energy in your workplace and then the bosses get nervous because this young person is bringing too much ideas, too much energy, they're going to take my job. That's because of the fear of greatness. Because so many of us have not tapped into our greatness, and as time runs out, we get insecure. We don't want other young people. We don't want people to come into our space. Rather than mentor and fashion and mold coal to a diamond, not a coal to a diamond, but that carbon that is unrecognizable to a diamond. We rather crush it, sell it to a foreign entity, give all of this greatness to someone else, steal the idea and give it to someone who doesn't deserve it, whose idea it wasn't, right? So this is a wonderful season, and I hope that we are all, I pray that we are people who can snap out of our slumber, people who can wake up from out of the pain, from out of the misery, from out of the continued narrative. I'm a person that expectations matter. If I have low expectations, I won't make noise. My expectation is low, so why would I be disappointed? But where the expectation is high, I've got to make noise because that means that I see potential. I've got to make noise to myself because I'm like, Naj, you can do better, you can be better, right? But we got to make noise when it even comes to our country because we have to do better. We can be better. I see better. So my expectation for us as individuals, Bahamians, is extraordinary. It's very high. Some days I get concerned now, because some of y'all concern me. You know, the narrative, the sycophants, PLP, FNM, DNA is too much. We should be a people that stand on principle, that has a unified vision on how great we are. Therefore, we must be as a nation that great or greater. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. When we come back, I'm going to have Nathaniel Butler and Simone Elbow. We're going to talk about pivoting, career pivots. It is a season, like I said, it is a season where you've got to know how to adjust. One of the hardest things is adjusting, putting aside your fear and realizing that fear is false evidence appearing real. You are smart enough, you are good enough. What you don't know, you can learn. That's my motto. My motto has always been, what I don't know, I can learn. As long as the mind is working, I can learn it. If I'm not great in it, I ain't signing up for it. And sometimes I've signed up for things I was not good for and I embarrassed myself. So I've learned my limits as well. But those limits are not ones that keep me down, but every day you're challenged. And I'm challenged with issues myself, with belief in myself. So we gotta pivot, y'all. And so we're gonna talk about career pivoting. We're gonna do that after the break. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Everyone, we will be back right after this on Guardian 96.9 FM.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You're listening to the Guardian News Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd announcing this afternoon the new targeted date for the reopening of all schools is October 5th.
Schools on the islands of New Providence, Abaco, and Eleuthera will open in a completely virtual environment, that is online, while schools on Grand Bahama and all other islands will open face-to-face.
In a virtual address, the minister explained this will give educators and parents the opportunity to secure the necessary devices. He said he will provide further details next week. Also, the Ministry of Education will resume national exams from September 14th to October 2nd. Lloyd said new timetables will be issued to schools and published in the newspapers this week. Examination results expected to be released by the end of November.
I should make it clear, my dear Bahamians, that this is the last time that we will restart the administration national exams. If for any reason whatsoever, the exams are again interrupted before its completion on Friday, October the 2nd, they will be canceled.
Family members of 17-year-old Lavard McKenzie, who went missing last week, are convinced that the decomposing body found in bushes off Carmichael Road just after 4 yesterday afternoon is that of their loved one. We spoke with the teenager's uncle, Oscar Dorset.
It's so tragic. A 17-year-old boy has lost his life, or we don't even know, don't have a clue as to the reason why. I'm trying to understand the society in which we live now, where you could take someone so young, take his life, leave him in the bush, laying down like a carcass, a dead carcass.
Police have yet to confirm the identity of the body. Dorset said a description of the victim's clothing confirmed to family members that it was his nephew. Another young man reported missing today, 15-year-old Miller Georges. According to a missing persons poster, the teenager's last known address is Lazaretto Road. He was last seen on Monday, August 24th at his residence. He's described as dark brown complexion, 5 feet 6 inches tall, slim build. Anyone with any information on the whereabouts of 15-year-old Miller Georges is asked to contact police at 502-9991, Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS, or your nearest police station. And that's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands, or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
In my local traffic now, the economy reopening, that's the buzzword of the day. And a number of businesses are very happy to be reopened. The morning commute had a surprising slow start though, but as the day progressed, we saw lots more traffic getting into the fray of things. However, congestions were limited and a lot civil. No lengthy delays anywhere. There are a few selected corridors that still have a heavy traffic flow going on, like Carmichael Road. So that's challenging out there. The thoroughfare right now on the east lane to get up to Blue Hill Road is very slow. And then there's that bit of a delay getting through at the Blue Hill Road intersection as well. As you move about through the center of the island, you will experience some delays in and about East Street, Robinson Road, Marathon Road, and over on Wolf Road, up and down from the west end to the east end. Both lanes are very busy. Kept moving though, but busy. However, the delays are minor. It's only traffic movement. No other obstructions are causing any overly long delays in your movement across the island. Carmichael Road is still the slowest ride on the island at this hour. Nassau Traffic Report is the service of J.S. Johnson. If you want to get a month of auto insurance free, call J.S. Johnson at 397-2100. Ask about their 12 for 11 promotion. With your eye in the sky local traffic, I'm VA-double-N. Back in an hour with an update.
It's the beginning of the hurricane season, and Fidelity Bank is giving you one less thing to worry about. We're not able to control a storm or its path, but we can prepare for it as much as possible. With every debt consolidation loan, Fidelity is giving away fully loaded hurricane kits valued at $200 with all the hurricane essentials you'll need to weather the unexpected storms of life. It's that easy. Sign up for a debt consolidation loan, open an ASUS savings or fixed deposit, and walk away with a free hurricane kit. At Fidelity, we're committed to helping you through these difficult times. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Coronavirus update. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President Trump's newest coronavirus advisor, Dr. Scott Atlas, who is a trained neuroradiologist rather than an infectious disease specialist, tells a roundtable in Florida that testing for testing's sake isn't the answer.
If everybody in the world is asymptomatic and they test positive, well, so what? I mean, that's not the goal here. That's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is who is sick and how do we prevent the people who are highly vulnerable from getting sick?
Atlas also downplayed the risk of infections in young people, saying activities like college football needed to be reopened because communities depended upon them economically. Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo says every public school district in the state, except 2, have been given the go-ahead to resume in-person classes 2 weeks from tomorrow. The governor says 5 metrics have been met in the state, including low hospitalization and spread rates statewide. I'm Tim McGuire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We've got Nathaniel Butler and Simone Elbow who are joining us today. What's up, Nat?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. It's good to see you.
Likewise, it's good to see you. You look good. You look
Yeah,
good.
well, you know, I mean, it's the era of what do you call this thing? What do we call this? COVID. So you have to fake
Yeah.
it till you make it, buddy. You have to fake it till you make it. And where's my good? Empress Simone Elbow, darling. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Can't complain. Can't complain. All right, everybody, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Today, we're going to be talking about career pivoting, right? So just in this season now, you've got to look at how big you can become, right? I feel like this is a non-limiting season. I believe that this season is the one that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and what you've been doing for 10 years or 15 years, that job ain't there no more. That space that you're so comfortable with getting up and going to do, that's gone. How do you move to the next place? And, you know, the spiritual or emotional side of it, the psychological side of it, and then the literal, the logistical side of it. How do you find a career with COVID? And then how do you get your mind in the space to know that you're capable, you have the capacity to move to the next space? So y'all, I'm excited about this conversation. I had to work my preamble in there so we understand what we're talking about, right? But before we do that, I just want to say, listen, y'all, Floral Fantasia is open. Floral Fantasia for all seasons and occasions. Mount Royal Avenue is now fully reopened for walk-in and phone-in businesses, as well as pickup and deliveries. They offer a full array of floral arrangements, fresh and soaked flowers. Not, I'm just saying, you need to go, you know, I heard about the sun. Your wife needs a break. I'm just saying. And
you putting all my business out there.
you know, I'm putting it out there.
All.
But you know, you put that social pressure, so he got to go now because his wife knows I know. And Floral Fantasia has gift baskets for all occasions and events too. So I mean, if she's like me, I just want a single rose. I don't want all that bouquet, but I will take the gift basket though. I do like gifts that don't die.
I'm gonna need that number a little later. A
Oh, I
birthday
can give
is
it to you
coming
right
up in
now.
my house.
I'm powerful like that. Call them today to place your order. Number 137 Mount Royal Avenue and Ludlow Street. You could call them at 328-8655. You hear that, Nat? 328-8655, or WhatsApp them at 376-7313. 376-7313. Listen, and all of this, Floral Fantasia is open for business, y'all. I love that. They do some great arrangements. I'm telling you, great business there. Happy that they're back, and rooting for all of our small businesses to get back on their feet. All right, Simone and Nat, good to have you guys. Let's talk, okay? Let's get this ball rolling. All right, here is the thing, and I gotta ask you both. Both professionals. Simone, I call you the creme de la creme. You know what it is to move from one level of comfort to the next. You know, Nat is a young fella. He he been big time from the womb. You know, like
He's only young on the outside.
that's all it is.
He's an old man.
So let's talk about the physical. Which would, if you were sitting, and guys, you tell me, if you were sitting down next to someone who was a 28-year-old waitress, right? She worked in the hotel. She's a 28-year-old waitress. To me, that's not old at all, right?
No.
But yet it's old enough where you know, I think you're old enough when you know, listen, I need this money solid. Like I can't be playing around, right? Like I probably am not living with mommy. If I am, I'm very fortunate, but mommy's still putting pressure on me to pay some bills. what would you say to that 28-year-old who's looking at the landscape and saying, okay, look, there are tons of waitresses like me. I may have been the best one, but there isn't any space for me. I don't have anything more than a high school diploma. What would you say to that young person first? Is it your mind needs to get right, or we need to find you a job first? Like where do you start talking to this woman? Who goes first? Let's go with Simone.
I felt you coming for me.
Yeah, heat-seeking missile.
Well, the first thing that I'd want to see, if she has a resume, I'd want to look at the resume and I'd want to see what experiences she would have already had, what skills she has that may be marketable outside of working in a restaurant, and really to talk to her about what her career goals are. Because she may want to continue working in a restaurant, and her goal may be, maybe I want to manage a restaurant one day, or I want to own my own restaurant or something like that. So I think it's very important to, it's all well and good to talk about mindset, or I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. In my work, I see a lot of times people make career decisions based on short-term emotional needs. And then they get stuck in certain jobs because it's now not a career. Because
Right.
when you have a career, you're going to be tracking in a certain path, and you're going to see that progression. That's what the resume is all about. So it is a summary of you, a snapshot of you and your work experience, your educational background, your interests. And so a hiring manager, an HR professional will be looking for that progression. So if you have on on your resume that you're hopping all over the place and you don't look focused, those are red flags. And what that says is that you don't know what you want. You're a job hopper, which means you're going to come here and then the next shiny thing that pops up for you, then you're out of here, and where does that leave me? So it's very important, I think, at the get-go, even though you may have the pressure to pay bills and, whether that's helping mom or paying rent for yourself, it is vital that you take the time to understand where you are and where you want to go. And then you chart that course forward from there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I never even thought of it, that HR managers are saying, okay, well, look, you've been X, Y, and Z space for so long. I mean, you move from one job to the next job. I didn't even realize that HR managers are looking at that, say, oh, well, you've had 6 jobs in, 8 months.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a reason why they want dates, job, place of work, and dates, the job title and responsibilities. There's a reason for that, because you're looking at where they worked to see if it is a legitimate place, first of all.
That's a good point.
You would be surprised, trust me.
Really?
What?
Oh yeah.
Look at Nathaniel. Nathaniel's like, yeah, most definitely.
Yes. I have seen people have one standard reference letter that they just have other people sign. So you can't take anything for granted, right?
Oh,
so
really? Hold on, wait. So let me understand. Someone takes one reference letter as a template, and then has 2 references and think you're gonna catch that they're both the same reference letter?
Same letter. Like
you definitely don't hire that person. That's next level slow. No, you don't hire that person.
You can't even cheat right. So I mean, I question your competence.
all the way. All right. So, okay, Nat, because I'm thinking now, right? If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We're talking about pivoting, right? The career pivot, the adjustment in a time when nothing is the same, when nothing is stable, nothing is what you know it to be, and it's an uncomfortable time. And I love what you said, Simone, about really charting your course, right? How important is it? because when you talk about charting your course, we are talking as if, you know, looking down the line in the future, creating that stability. How easy is it to, in the Bahamas, say I'm going to chart my course and then execute? Because I think a lot of Bahamians will say, yeah, that sounds good, but you know, I mean, everybody want a career. But ain't many careers to be had up in here. What do you guys say to that? What do you think?
You know what is the reality for most persons? They would enter the workforce in a job that they had probably in most cases had not anticipated that they would end up. And if they work for a large employer that has multiple positions, they get transfer or there's some training. And then midway in their career, they realize, oh, I really like this. Oh, I really like that over there. And at that point in time, depending on what type of responsibilities or pressures that they have, will determine whether or not they will continue in the updating themselves, whether it's via education online, night school, whatever the case may be, or if they're overwhelmed, they'll try to apply themselves for whatever on-the-job course or training. And then you find that they will slowly but surely slide over into the chair. Believe it or not, most persons are not happy at the job what they're in.
Yeah.
And even though we talk about having a career goals or even career path, sometimes it doesn't really exist in a lot of our organizations. And even if you were to sit down and say, okay, what is it that you really want to do? Most people in our workplace, in our context of the Bahamas, do not know. And that's where it's a sad reality. You'll hear more persons venting frustration than their love and their passion for the job or the career or profession that they're in. And believe it or not, last but not least, my last point, believe it or not, we have a lot of persons who are in a career or profession that other members of their family push them in. It's not something that they wanted to do, you know, and you'll have that conversation about job security on one end, or you'll have a conversation about the ability to provide for yourself, and all that really rooted into what type of lifestyle you want to live and status you want to live. So I sent you to X, Y, and Z school, so I can't have you telling me you're gonna be doing what? No, you're gonna be an entrepreneur. What? No, you broke. No.
It's so true. So true.
So that's what we're faced with now. So we're faced with, believe it or not, a career crisis, and COVID-19 has exposed it. There are a number of persons realizing that, hey, now than ever before, I need to be able to comfortably pay my bills, but at the same time, I'm now putting job satisfaction on the same level of being able to pay the bills as well.
So you see it as a shift in, because I'm thinking that that's what you're saying there. That's for different people at different thresholds, though. I think because I think there are a lot of people who are like, look, I just need to get some money in my pocket. So that's a whole different thing. I don't think. Do you find that
for those who are feeling the pressure, who are feeling the pressure right now, they've been out of work, they've been on the long line at NIB, they have applied for the government assistance, they could see that their organization or company may possibly close down, may not open. There hasn't been much dialogue in some cases. And so you find that those individuals, I need to get a job, quick, fast, make some quick money, but eventually after that wears off and they're able to meet their immediate need, and they kind of fall back into the other perspective. Because remember now, we, from a productivity standpoint in the country, it's not good. We're not good. So culturally, we're from a standpoint of, and I'm not saying everybody, I'm not putting everybody in
but I think you're so real right now. That's good.
But at the same time, many persons are looking at, how can I give the least amount of effort for maximum pay?
Yeah.
The least amount of effort for maximum pay.
Yeah.
Even to a point, what is growing now is persons considering, I'll do the 9 to 5 here, but I'm going to really make my magic happen after 5 over there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And is that, when we talk about careers, and when we talk about productivity and the workforce and the workplace, how much of it is because, you know, and productivity, is it because of the fact that I just don't like my job? Are we not productive because we just don't like our job? Or is it a part of this narrative where Bahamians are lazy? Because I think that's interesting what you brought up. Productivity is low. Does it have anything to do with the fact that we are just not in our purposed place? And I think that there's a lot of people who don't believe that a job has purpose. It's just to make money. Like your job is not your work, you know? And sorry, but does that make sense? Because I believe that your job can be the work that you've been given, right? Like that's your purpose place. Because most of us know that's not it though, it's just a check. So I mean, is it productivity due that we're lazy or just not passionate? Simone?
I think it has a lot, there are a lot of factors that contribute to productivity or the lack thereof. And here are a few of them. One of them is skill level, right? So if you've not mastered the skills that are required for a particular job, then you're not going to be as productive because you don't understand what you're doing, or you're making a lot of mistakes, or you're slow, or you depend on other people to help you or to do certain things for you because you can't do it yourself. So there's the skill factor in it that has something to do with love and passion for the job, because I think if anybody cares about doing a good job, and that now bleeds into character and work ethic, right? Those soft skills that are equally as important as the technical skills of a job. So if you care enough that, you're working really for yourself, you're working for your reputation and your well-being and being able to look in the mirror and be able to sleep at night. Some people could do it very well. They should show up for years and they don't give a flying fig if they do a good job or not, and they will happily collect that money, right? I mean, so some people really don't care. But if you care, then you're going to make sure that you are tooled properly to do the job. And I love the way that Nathaniel phrased that the crisis that we are seeing in the career space has only been revealed and magnified by this pandemic.
Yeah.
Because it always existed. And so what it revealed now was people who weren't able to personally pivot. So because I don't have skill set in technology, now work from home, what? Like what? Zoom, what? Like, I don't even know what these things is. You understand? So if you were tooling yourself all along, this wouldn't be a surprise for you, or it would be a quick learning curve.
Yes.
Right? Because now I am already comfortable with technology. So when they were offering those computer classes at work, I went to the classes, and so I know what Microsoft is. I know what all these things are. I may not have used certain platforms, but it's not going to be hard for me to pick it up and get it. So that's one aspect of productivity. I do believe that another aspect of productivity is tied to passion. What I found is a lot of people love their work, They just don't love their place of work.
Oh.
A lot of people love the work that they do. They love the job, the tasks, the responsibilities of the work. What turns them off, what causes them to disconnect, what causes them to not perform is the toxicity of the workplace where they're at.
Management, that's it. Just get rid of everybody in management. That's not it.
Listen, I just talked to a couple people, just this morning, they left their job because of their manager. Left their job, and like, you leave your whole job.
Your whole job.
Of a pandemic, of the whole thing. Like, you just keep the whole job in a pandemic because of you. Because of you.
But know, that's a big one, that's a huge one. Sorry, Nat, you were gonna say?
No, I'm saying that's common. I mean, I'm hearing Simone, and she's right, it's common. You'd be surprised if we were to do a survey of persons who would have changed jobs in the last 5 years, inclusive of this time. And you'll discover that in a lot of cases that most persons move because of a person. One person, a group of person in some cases, a person, a culture, an environment that was created that they didn't like, and they just transition. I think, to Simone's point, disconnection and disengagement are the two leading factors of why we're having what we have today in the Bahamas in regards to our career crisis. And it's very difficult for the HR community, difficult for supervisors and executives to get people plugged in, because for the most part, you have a number of individuals who just are disconnected from the organization for whatever reason. If it's a money situation in some cases, it's not always. It could be an opportunity situation in other cases. It could be an environment. But technically, there's not a whole lot of outlets to constructively express yourself without getting victimized. And so what you have is a lot of people be quiet and their actions do the talking. You get what I'm saying? And you'll be surprised. It isn't until I have heard in HR circles, believe it or not, that one person is promoted as supervisor or manager of an area, and gradually person start to move out of that area. Either they request a transfer or they just resign from the company, even if they didn't have a job lined up. They rather stay home until they find a job than to be in that place of work. And it isn't until you start to see more than 2 to 3 persons start to leave that area, you start to question, well, what happened? Oh, we just promoted so and so. Well, what so and so was doing?
Running the people out the company. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, no, that sounds like what's going on. That definitely sounds like what's going on.
And that's a pattern. That's a pattern that people must pay attention to. But unfortunately, I mean, Nathaniel raised a very important word, and it is culture. And I'm not even talking about our national culture, how we form or behave. I am talking about organizational culture. And this is how we operate, how we communicate, how we work, how we promote, how we do things, right? And so a lot of times that organizational culture is so toxic that it makes it so difficult for people to navigate, for people to want to connect,
And we lost the audio from you, Simone.
Any more to do with this? I can't deal. I have seen people, to his point, who don't have anything lined up. I'm talking about no other options. They haven't put their resume anywhere. They have not.
But they gotta go
with anybody. I gotta go for my peace of mind.
Yep. Well, you know what? When we come back from on the other side of the break, I want us to talk about now the way you look at a pivot. Like, for example, based on your point, I just left my job. I was not happy there, or I lost the job where I wasn't happy. So now I'm being pushed, and here's a golden opportunity to do something that makes me happy. What do you say to the person who's now found themselves out of income, but they need income, but they want to do something that's different? How do you help them to pivot? And does it matter your skill set? Is it easier to pivot off of something that was close to, right? So is a pivot really just an angling from a job that you had before? It's just a slight jump off or derivative of what you had before. Is that what a pivot looks like, or is it a total 180? You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Nathaniel Butler from Drupa Solutions, Simone Elbow, life coach, business coach, HR manager, all them extra stuff, how you run out. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We will be back right after this.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. I've got some comments on YouTube. Someone says Bahamians have been lazy ever since they stopped working for free due to the emancipation thingy. Someone says sanity is more important. You can always find a job, but when you lose yourself, then what? Sanity is a must. Someone says it's generational also. A lot of young people just want a paycheck. All right, everyone, don't forget you can follow us on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Nahaja Black. And of course, help a sister out. We're trying to get to a minimum 1,000 subscribers by the end of September. So go on there, please subscribe, share, do what you must. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of September. I actually believe I can get that in a week, but I'm very much a hopeful woman. And I don't put pressure on folk. You know, Black people don't like pressure. Y'all just revolt when pressure hits, you know. So I ain't gonna mess with y'all and put all of this Negro pressure on y'all, and then all of a sudden stuff start happening to all my lifestyle. You know what I mean? That Simone, y'all know how people go, right? You know, subscribe. I ain't subscribing to nothing. I don't know you like that. You know. All right, so we're talking about
subscribing is commitment, man.
That's what it is. And they take that thing personal, but they want money though. Like we could commit to money. We ain't committing to no subscription. All right, we got Nathaniel Butler from Druber Solutions, Simone Elbow, brilliant businesswoman, entrepreneur as well, and a life coach. So tune in, make sure that you guys are connected. And you all know Nathaniel. Nathaniel is a family member, Simone as well, of the show. And Nathaniel is one of the, I'm so proud of this young man for what he's doing. I've never been to his house. I don't know his family like that, but I feel like we's family. You know what I mean? Like these people, when you see them on the side of the road, you still hug them for no reason. That's Nathaniel. Well, Simone is his sister, so that's a whole different story.
I appreciate that. We are family. We are family.
Yeah, man. We be his family. All right. So we're talking about this pivot, the career pivot, right? Is the pivot for career, is it something where, like I started out, if we're a waitress, but I want to do something that's more my type, my personality. The waitressing thing was great, and it was a way, you know, and I ended up staying in it because it gave me good money. It was something that I knew, right? Maybe I had plans to go to school like that. Those things change, life changes, and when you're making like $600 a week, you okay with that? $700 with tips, and you understand that there will be a slow season, whatnot. Certain things just change. You just say, well, this is good. I'm comfortable. But you're not happy, right? Or you're finding now that that season is gone, you need to make the jump off. Should the waitress, how do you tell the waitress to pivot? Is she supposed to do a career assessment? What is she supposed to do to know what is next for her? What is her thing?
I normally just send them to Simone. Oh man. Oh, but in all seriousness, I'll let Simone share and weigh on it because she's the guru with this. But in all seriousness, it's amazing that you brought that up, because let me tell you some real life scenarios that we were faced with. I met an HR professional who transitioned to become a teacher. I met a teacher who transitioned to be a florist. I met what you call those persons? A scuba diving instructor who wanted to get into landscaping. So for me, I realized that in some cases, you have persons who always had a passion for something or a hobby for something, and they really want to go full-fledged into it. And then for other persons, you may have, it is about the money. It's more of a money-making opportunity for them. But at the end of the day, in regards to being able to pivot, because some things, some areas, they are transferable skills. But in other areas, you may be at a disadvantage. So for me, the conversation before I pass them on to Simone is usually around what value you bring to the organization. Because at the end of the day, the owner, the HR manager, or whomever's conducting that interview, they're looking at your credentials, they're looking at you as a person, and to see how you're going to increase the organization. So whether or not you're good, you're great, or you're bad, whether or not you are trainee, but you have experience in other fields that can cross over. The end of the day, you have to convince them that you bring enough value to help that organization go to the next level. And I think in a lot of cases, for those who know what they want to do, it's just a matter of putting the plan in place and working it. And for those, because there's a whole lot of people who don't know what they want to do. They just know that what they're currently doing is not something that they want to continue to do. And then we have that next group who are about to retire. And they have, and that's a very creative and interesting group, because whatever they were doing whilst they were working all of the years of their life, you find that they want to do something completely out of pocket in their retirement. Completely so far out the pocket is on another garment. But I think now is a time that persons are realizing that satisfaction, personal fulfillment is priority. Now, here where it becomes dangerous in my category of persons, the millennials, because believe it or not, millennials, if you could get a millennial to stay on the job more than 3 years, you've done a lot.
You've done a great job. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We will look at living our best life now versus living our best life in retirement. You know, we want to live in our retirement lifestyle now whilst we're working. And so as a result of that, it just becomes a little bit difficult in regards to, okay, well, you've worked in the restaurant, you worked in administration, but how's that carry over into sales over here? You know what I mean? It's not the same. But like I said, at the end of the day, as long as you understand that you have value and you enhance, and the bigger question, Ms. Black, the bigger question is, how much are you going to invest in personal and professional development? That is what is going to increase your value and put you in the best situation, no matter what road path you want to take. But I strongly advise you need to sit down and talk to persons like a Simone Bo.
Yeah. Oh, that was a segue. That was a good segue, Simone.
You are on the money. I'm like, what? Did I train you or something? Like, what?
Druva Solutions, that's your team, boo. That's your
Right.
team.
This a what? This a left, right hook situation up in here. No, but he's totally on point with that. And I think to just piggyback off the point about millennials and staying on the job, and I think that, I don't know, I think us Generation Xers kind of started that off, because we're the generation that would looking for fulfillment as well, like we're loyal, like the baby boomers now. We can be loyal, we can put up with a little bit more than millennials would, right? Because we got more bills. Think about, you know,
and less money.
Exactly. But I think that that's something that we need to reframe in our society. I remember being on an interview, and this woman, she was a baby boomer, you know, and she happened to be sitting around the table where I was having lunch. The interviewer was so impressed with me and so excited. She excitedly introduced me and to this lady, and she said, because the lady asked, "So what are you doing here, Simone?" And she knew me, right? And she said, "What are you doing here?" So the lady said, she just had an interview and she's fantastic. She's just what we need in our organization. And she was like, "You who don't stay on no job?" That's what the lady said to me over the lunch table. Right? I kid you not. I mean, I have stories upon stories, but that's the mentality. That I never tell you that story. Off air, I'll call names. But that's the mentality, and we have to change that mentality. So when you talk about, And see, for millennials, they're exploring, like they want to live their best life because that's the dream we sold them. We tell them, I actually am coaching somebody right now who's in the same thing, right? Pivoting, trying to figure out, what is my purpose? Where am I at? And so we told them, that's the generation. We said, you could do anything. Go after your dreams. You can do it. Like we created them. And now we're upset with them because they actually believed what we said. And they're about doing that. And they're not going to stay on a job for 30 years to be mistreated, to not have enough money to survive, to still be looking for a job after retirement. They're like, no, I don't want that. I've seen what you went through, mommy, daddy. I don't want that for myself. And so even now in this time of crisis, and people are going through so many career changes, because you have to recognize we are not only dealing with COVID-19, but we're also dealing with the displacement of persons from Dorian, people whose businesses had shut down, people who have lost jobs, who have been pivoting. This is now like 12 months plus of pivoting, right? Yeah. So as HR professionals and hiring managers, we're going to have to demonstrate a bit more flexibility now when we look at the standard way we look at a resume has to change. So where before we may have looked at the gaps, we may have looked at this hodgepodge nature of where these people are and where they're going and job to job and this and that. We may have to dig a little deeper into the why of that. And we may actually have to, this is an unheard of principle here, but we may actually have to coach and mentor some of these people, like ding, ding, right? Unheard. Like maybe we need to sit down and have some conversations with people and guide them and give them direction and help them along the way, give people opportunities where on paper it may not measure up, but the person that's talking to you looks like they have potential. So one of the things of advice that I would give to people who are looking to pivot and maybe looking completely different from their career that they're in now is, again, you need to plan. You need to have a plan. Now, sometimes life doesn't afford you that opportunity to plan way out ahead, but you should always be in planning mode. So if you're on a job and you're not happy, that's the time that job should be funding your next. Yeah. Whether that is you're taking that professional or personal development, you're taking a course, you're getting a degree. So even though you are waiting tables and you're like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, what are you doing to prepare for the rest of your life?
Yeah, excellent.
While you're making that $500-600 a week plus in grants and all of that other stuff, like make that money work for you so that you can do exactly what you want to do and you're in better control of your life and your career.
If you're just tuning in, Simone Elbow, Nathaniel Butler from Druba Solutions, we're talking about the career pivot, right? In this season, taking into account where you are and where you actually want to be. And I think that this is what I've said at the beginning of the show. A season like this is one of those great resets, right? One of those great resets. And guess what? The entire world is resetting. So we're all in the same race, right? We're all in the same race. Nobody's leaving you behind if you decide that you want to make a career change, because we're all starting from the starting line at this point. Some people will just get out, they don't waste time. They know that there is a reset. They know that there is a pivot that they need, so they get right on it. Other folks are in denial and are hoping that the old season will come back and that they can just fall into it again. But this isn't that season. You just got to start running now. You got to start running and know where you want to run to, know the destination and plan and prepare. And that's what we're talking about today, the career reset. I love what Simone said and Nathaniel said. It's about, and Simone said at the start of this segment and this conversation that we need to look at the path. Where do you want to go? And Nathaniel, you started with that and you shared that as well. Where do we want to go? Who do we want to be? It's a great opportunity to do a self-analysis and say, okay, who do I want to be? Do I want to be happy when I go to work? Or, what does this work look like? Not I wonder, guys, if you would suggest when you look at your career planning that you not look for the job you don't look to fit the job, you look for a job that fits you. Is that a suggestion? Because I think a lot of us are looking to fit into somewhere, an environment, but there are careers that just fit your personality, where you go in and it engulfs you in a positive way. It doesn't consume you and make you stressed, but you go in there and you're like, this is for me. This is what I was meant to do. And so the job is fitting my personality. And I think that's a career, like when it fits who you are, rather than you trying to be a round thing fitting in a square, right? And then you always, I had a therapist on and she says that's the edges, you'll never meet the edges. The edges will never meet you, or something like that. You'll never fully be complete because you're not touching all the edges. And I don't know how it is that we can, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, listen, I've had like 1 or 2 jobs I just didn't like, that wasn't gonna work for me. And I was just like, deuces, I'm out. Now, I was one of those people who be like, hold on, 7 days of this, I ain't doing 8. I remember, no joke, I was to a place of business for 7 good days. Hallelujah. Boy, when they say Monday, we'll see you Monday, I said, the devil is a liar, I'm out. They call and ask why I come back. I said, that environment was just not for me. And I think it's important that we know that, right? And find a space. But what would you guys say now after I've rambled on and wasted a solid 5 minutes? What would you say now to we're a tourism center, right? A lot of tourist center skill sets, And I always wonder how do you use those skill sets and pivot? Like what careers are you seeing that when you look at future forecasting that you'll say, hey, y'all need to watch out for this. Tourism people, y'all missing an opportunity here, or there's an opportunity somewhere. What are you seeing that based on the trends?
So, and I love what you're saying. So here's the thing. You have to be willing to accept change. And let me tell you why I'm saying that, because when tourism when tourism regains its full strength and the occupancy level go back to normal, we're not going to be dealing with the tourism of old. And let me tell you what I mean by that. There are so many new applications or apps that are out there that are doing virtual tours with persons who had planned to come to the Bahamas this year, and they have visited the Bahamas virtually. So now their expectation and their taste types and everything is now changing and it's evolving around you. And if you're not, and I don't want to scare anyone, but if you're not preparing yourself to adapt and to pivot in this new environment, you may get left behind. The second thing is, we are in a borderless society. We are in an era where now multinationals are hospitality specialists. Think about it. I mean, even though in some circles you think hospitality has a negative connotation, but it doesn't. We are hospitality specialists. We can do, believe it or not, some of those same services from a freelancing standpoint in the gig economy.
Yes.
Let me repeat that. Some of the same services that we provide can be done in the gig economy. And let me tell you something, as Bahamians, we're some of the best within our region and around the world when it comes down to hospitality.
Yep.
So the trends now, you're going to see persons are now going to transition from working for one company and to now doing that same job for a few companies. Persons are going to move from going into work to a blended approach where they go in some days and they stay home other days. COVID-19 has taught a lot of Bahamian employers, hey, we could work from home.
Yeah.
The saddest thing is that some organizations that had worked remotely, some of the employees realized that, hey, productivity didn't really drop. Now, some cases it did, but in some cases it didn't. Oh, we don't need to have all these people here. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But The one thing I want to leave with everyone is this: be open to change, be open to embrace technology, because your opportunity lies sometimes even outside of the 700 islands in the Bahamas. Why focus on the 700 islands and we could focus on the 7 billion people around the world?
Yep. I love it. And it's so true that the gig economy is such a great opportunity where we can look at our skill sets. I mean, look, one of the things we don't consider, right? A housekeeper. I always look at this, consider this, a housekeeper in this country. My mother taught me how to make a bed. My mother's a housekeeping supervisor, and it drives me crazy when a bed is not properly made, right? So it's a thing. But imagine as a housekeeper, you decide, listen, I'm going to show you how to clean an Airbnb top to bottom, right? Like my mom, she's a supervisor, so she knows checklists. She will go through my unit. This ain't done. This ain't done. This ain't done. And imagine now, if you're an Airbnb provider, you can know, okay, I'm supposed to make sure that this is done. She can do a video on making a bed. She can do a video on spot checking, on and cleaning. I think that there's so many opportunities, and we just, like you said, embrace technology, see the trend, and consider that your audience, your market is greater than this.
And using that same example, because a lot of people fall in that category, using that same example, even if you're not technically inclined, partner with someone who is. You already have the goods.
Yep.
You just need them to help put the goods in the spaces that it has the most value.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you put that up, by the end of the month, you should have more than 1,000, more than probably 2,000. And guess what? It's residual income. That's another show.
Hey, that's what we're working on, my boy. That's what we're working on. That's a gig. Simone, you wanted to add something?
I do, because this is now where the mindset shift comes in. You talked about mindset at the very beginning. This is where the mindset shift has to happen. Now, you all know I'm a proponent of tourism and hospitality. So all my hairs rise up when I hear y'all dogging out these two industries that are massive industries around the world, right? That I think travel and tourism contribute something in the vicinity of $2.9 trillion to the world economy. So there is something in this business. There are, as Nathaniel mentioned earlier, transferable skills. The gig economy. How do I fit these skills that I have into now a different context where I'm providing services? I'm seeing people right here locally in the Bahamas, in New Providence, doing some amazingly creative things because of COVID, right? We see so many things happening online where people have pivoted, where people are offering, private chef experience. Okay, so the hotels aren't open. That doesn't mean that Airbnbs aren't getting rented. That doesn't mean people don't need to eat, right? Look at the delivery business right now. Someone just sent me a flyer. Her daughter is a third-year college student. She's just starting her side gig. And guess what she's doing? She's going to be a virtual learning assistant. So for all of these working parents who their kids are having to do virtual learning and they have to work, maybe have to go back on the job or are working from home and they just, can't do it both because it's hard. You are working at the same time your child is supposed to be in school. She's offering for a low fee. I will watch and monitor your students while they're in class. She has a specific age group that she'll work with. You need lunch included, a little extra fee for lunch. And look here, that's a business. And I am sure that she is going to be booked out very shortly because I personally would sign up for that in a quick minute, right? Because it's that whole homeschool virtual learning thing with stress for a lot of people.
That's it.
So it's about getting out of our heads and out of thinking, oh, this is a bad career. Nobody should do this. all of the things that we would turn up our nose at right now are the things that are really going to be on the upswing. You know, going and shopping for people. Who would have thought that that would have been like a thing?
That's an
in
industry.
the Bahamas, right? That's people have been doing for years and years already. You know, sending groceries, packing boxes, and you could spend $120 and you get all these different meals and recipes and all of that stuff. Like people have been doing it abroad, but now it's here. It's a reality.
Yeah.
So
One of the
it's
things I
about
love.
rethinking everything.
I think one of the great things about it, the problem begs for a solution. And every problem is a money-making opportunity. That's just all I view it as. Every problem, COVID to me is excitement. I can't get depressed with COVID. You know what I look at? Every day I'm going through my mind at least 4 money-making opportunities. And then you see what sticks after a while and you're like, you know what, this is good. You know, because you keep on, and you know, one of the things that I learned from Tony Robbins, I think his name is Tony Robbins, the motivational guy.
Yeah.
He has this thing where he says, ask yourself the right questions. Your brain automatically goes, when you ask yourself the right question, not the defeating question, not why am I stupid? Why am I dumb? Why am I fat? None of that. No. You start asking, how can I lose the weight? How can I make more money? How do I solve this problem? And then you start, your brain automatically goes into problem solving mode. You give it the right question and it goes into the right avenue. So how do I, you know, I need to change my career. What is that? What is it that drives me? What will wake me up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm proud to be doing this. I love this thing. Then how do I achieve that thing that I figured out? And it's amazing when you ask the right questions, how it sets you up, but we gotta go. I don't know how to use up all my time. Simone Elbow, Nathaniel Butler, Drupa Solutions. Thank you guys so much. You can go to Drew, what's the website real quick before we go?
DrupaSolutions.com.
Excellent. Everyone have a great day. Thank you guys so much. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black Guardian 96.9 FM. See you guys tomorrow. Bye guys.
See ya.